Unsolved disappearances that still haunt the world. Dyatlov Pass, the Mary Celeste, Amelia Earhart, and more. These chilling stories defy explanation, leaving experts baffled. Dive into the mysteries that continue to captivate minds. Will you uncover the truth, or will you be left wondering forever? Dyatlov Pass. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers set off for a journey in the Ural Mountains of Russia. What was meant to be an ordinary trek turned into one of the most mysterious disappearances in history. The group, led by Igor Dyatlov, was well prepared and skilled in mountain exploration. However, their journey would take an unexpected and terrifying turn. When search teams eventually found their campsite weeks later, the scene was puzzling. The tent was slashed open from the inside, as though the hikers had fled in a hurry. Footprints led away into the frozen night. But what they found next was even more bizarre. The hikers' bodies were scattered across the snow, showing disturbing injuries that made no sense. One hiker had suffered massive internal trauma, while another was missing her tongue. Some of their clothing tested positive for radiation, adding another layer of mystery. The search for answers would leave experts stumped and theories would flood in. Some believed an avalanche was to blame, but no evidence of one was ever found. Others thought it was linked to secret Soviet military experiments, with the hikers being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the strangest theories were the most chilling. UFOs, or even infrasound-induced panic, were suggested as a cause of their deaths. Scientists have recently proposed a rare slab avalanche as a possible explanation, but it still doesn't answer the most disturbing question. Why would experienced hikers, who were prepared for the harsh conditions, flee in such terror? The mystery of Dyatlov Pass has lived on for decades, and the case remains unsolved. Even after years of research and investigations, no one has come up with a definitive answer. It's a reminder of how sometimes the most terrifying force in nature is not the cold, but the unknown. In many ways, this disappearance reminds us of how Amelia Earhart vanished in 1937, or how D.B. Cooper disappeared in 1971. Like them, the hikers at Dyatlov Pass became legends, their story forever marked by an unsolved mystery that refuses to die. Mary Celeste. In 1872, the Mary Celeste became one of the most baffling maritime mysteries of all time. Found drifting aimlessly in the Atlantic Ocean, the ship was completely intact, with cargo untouched and the crew's personal belongings still in place. Yet, there was no sign of the crew. The ship's logbook had been last updated days before, with smooth sailing recorded, making their sudden disappearance all the more confusing. Theories began to swirl. Some believed an explosion caused by the fumes from the industrial alcohol the ship was carrying might have forced the crew to abandon ship. Others suspected mutiny or piracy, though there was no evidence to support this. The most eerie theory was that paranormal forces might have played a role. The lifeboat was missing, which led to the assumption that the crew had left voluntarily. But there was no distress signal, no sign of struggle, and most unsettling of all, the crew was never seen again. Despite extensive investigations over years, no definitive answer has ever emerged. The mystery of the Mary Celeste remains unsolved, and the ship continues to drift through history as one of the greatest maritime enigmas, often compared to other unsolved disappearances like Amelia Earhart's flight or the Dyatlov Pass incident. The empty decks of the Mary Celeste still haunt the imaginations of all who seek to understand the unexplained. Gardner Heist. On March 18, 1990, 2 men dressed as police officers entered the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, claiming to be responding to a disturbance. They took control of the museum, tying up the guards. Over the next 81 minutes, the thieves stole 13 priceless pieces of art, including works by Rembrandt and Vermeer, valued at over $500 million. The museum security that night was far from elite. One of the guards, Richard Abbott, was a part-time rock musician who admitted to often showing up drunk. Although he claimed he was sober that night, the thieves seemed to know exactly what they were doing, taking only specific pieces and leaving others of equal value behind. Despite offering a $10 million reward and years of investigation, neither the stolen art nor the culprits have been found. The frames where the artwork once hung remain empty, a haunting reminder of the biggest art heist in history. No one knows who was behind the theft, and the missing masterpieces continue to fuel theories and speculation. This heist remains one of the most infamous unsolved crimes, much like the mysterious disappearance of D.B. Cooper in 1971 or the eerie case of the Mary Celeste. The stolen artwork still hangs in the minds of those who follow the mystery, waiting for answers that may never come. Eric Lewis. In 2010, Eric Lewis, an experienced mountaineer, disappeared while hiking through Washington's Olympic National Park. Known for his expertise and preparation, Eric had no known reasons to vanish, and the weather conditions were favorable. But despite being a skilled hiker, he vanished without a trace, sending shockwaves to the mountaineering community. Search efforts were relentless. Ground teams scoured the rugged terrain, and helicopters equipped with thermal imaging searched from above, yet no sign of Eric was found. No footprints, no clothing, no equipment, nothing. As time passed, theories began to emerge. Some suggested he had fallen into a hidden crevice, while others speculated that he had intentionally disappeared. His case became part of a larger discussion about strange disappearances in national parks, some of which mirrored Eric's. In 2019, the film The Vanish explored cases similar to Eric's, adding even more mystery to an already puzzling situation. But despite all the efforts, Eric's story remains unsolved, leaving many wondering how someone so experienced could just vanish into thin air. His disappearance still echoes, a mystery in the same vein as the unexplained vanishings of Amelia Earhart in 1937, or the eerie disappearances at Dyatlov Pass in 1959. Roanoke Colony. In 1587, more than 100 English settlers established a colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of modern-day North Carolina. The colony was led by Governor John White, who returned to England for supplies after a few years. However, when he returned in 1590, he found the settlement completely abandoned. There were no bodies, no signs of struggle, just eerie, silent ruins. The only clue left behind was a single word carved into a tree, Croton. For centuries, people have speculated about what happened to the settlers. Some believe they assimilated with a nearby Croatan tribe, while others think they were wiped out by disease, famine, or conflict with hostile forces. Some even suggest supernatural forces might have played a role in their disappearance. Despite extensive archaeological digs and historical research, no definitive proof has ever surfaced to explain the fate of the Roanoke colony. It remains one of America's oldest and most unsettling mysteries. The mystery of the colony's fate is like a dark shadow over history, much like the baffling disappearances of D.B. Cooper in 1971 or the Dyatlov Pass incident in 1959. The word Croton still lingers, leaving behind more questions and answers. Amelia Earhart. In 1937, Amelia Earhart, the famous American aviator, set off to fly around the world with her navigator, Fred Noonan. But during their journey, somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, the two vanished without a trace. No distress signal, no wreckage, just radio transmissions that grew weaker until they stopped altogether. The world launched a massive search effort, but her plane, the Lockheed Electra, was never found. Theories quickly emerged. Some suggested that Amelia Earhart had crashed into the ocean, while others believed she may have landed on a remote island, surviving as a castaway. The most dramatic theories suggested she was captured by the Japanese, or even that she assumed a secret identity. Recent investigations have focused on the Comororo Island, where skeletal remains and artifacts hinted at a possible lost survivor. However, DNA tests remain inconclusive. Despite decades of searching and numerous theories, Amelia Earhart's fate remains a mystery. Her disappearance, much like the Dyatlov Pass incident in 1959 or the strange case of D.B. Cooper in 1971, continues to capture the imagination of millions. Amelia Earhart didn't just vanish. She became a legend, her story forever soaring in the skies of mystery and intrigue. Flannan Isles. In 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers vanished from the Flannan Isles off the coast of Scotland. The remote, windswept island had long been steeped in superstition. Shepherds refused to stay after dark, whispering of strange happenings. But when the steamship Archdor passed on December 15th, it noticed that the lighthouse beacon was dark. It wasn't until December 26 that a relief crew arrived to investigate. What they found was eerie. The kitchen door was open, meals were left uneaten, and the fire had long gone cold. But the most unsettling detail was that the three men, James Duckett, Don MacArthur, and Thomas Marshall, were gone. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of escape, just an empty lighthouse. Theories range from a massive rogue wave that swept the men away to madness or even supernatural forces at play. But with no bodies ever recovered, the fate of the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers remains one of the most chilling disappearances in maritime history. This case is eerily similar to others, like the mysterious disappearance of D.B. Cooper in 1971, or the unexplained vanishing of the Dyatlov Pass hikers in 1959. It serves as a reminder of how some mysteries, especially those involving the unknown forces of nature, continue to haunt the collective imagination. Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail, stretching over 2,000 miles from Georgia to Maine, is a dream for hikers. Its rugged beauty and connection to nature attract thousands every year. But beneath its breathtaking views, the trail holds a chilling secret. People sometimes go missing here, and some are never found. Since 1974, at least one murder has been recorded on the trail every 4 years. But it's not just crime that causes disappearances. Many hikers, including experienced outdoorsmen, have vanished without a trace. Some blame accidents, others suspect foul play. But there are eerie cases that make people question if something else is at play. In 2019, the documentary Missing 411, The Hunt had highlighted these unexplained vanishings, adding another layer of mystery to an already baffling situation. Despite years of investigation and countless theories, many disappearances remain unsolved. The Appalachian Trail has become an area of deep intrigue, much like Dyatlov Pass in 1959 or the disappearance of Amelia Earhart in 1937. These missing persons cases continue to haunt the trail, leaving people wondering if something mysterious or even sinister is at play in the deep, remote woods. Jimmy Hoffa. On July 30th, 1975, Jimmy Hoffa, the notorious Teamsters Union leader, walked into the Machu's Red Fox restaurant in Michigan for a meeting with mobsters, and he was never seen again. Hoffa's car was found, but he had vanished without a trace, as if he had been erased from existence. Hoffa had many enemies, particularly within the mafia. After serving time for fraud and bribery, many believed that his disappearance was part of a mob-ordered hit to stop him from reclaiming power. Some speculated that Hoffa was buried under Giant Stadium, while others claimed he was cremated. There were even rumors that Hoffa was still alive, living under an assumed identity, though this seems highly unlikely. Despite an extensive investigation by the FBI, no definitive proof of Hoffa's fate has ever been found. His disappearance remains one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in American history, much like the vanishing of D.B. Cooper in 1971 or the eerie Dyatlov Pass incident in 1959. Hoffa's case continues to spark theories and intrigue, leaving behind a legacy of mystery that refuses to fade. MH370. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur en route to Beijing. It was supposed to be just another routine flight. But soon, everything went horribly wrong. The plane veered off course, stopped responding to air traffic control, and vanished into thin air, taking 239 passengers and crew with it. A massive search effort was launched, covering vast areas of ocean, but the plane was never found. The only pieces of debris that have ever surfaced washed up on distant beaches, leaving experts perplexed about the aircraft's final resting place. Theories range from pilot sabotage and hijacking to mechanical failure and sudden depressurization. Some even suggested government cover-ups, fueling even more suspicion. Despite the most expensive and extensive search in aviation history, MH370 remains one of the greatest mysteries of modern times. A decade later, the fate of the plane is still unknown, much like the disappearance of Amelia Earhart in 1937 or the mysterious events surrounding D.B. Cooper in 1971. The disappearance of MH370 serves as a reminder of how the vastness of the ocean still holds many secrets. Boy in the Box. In February 1957, a chilling discovery was made near Philadelphia. A young boy, estimated to be between 4 and 6 years old, was found lifeless in a discarded cardboard box. His body showed signs of prolonged abuse, including blunt force trauma to the head. Yet no one ever came forward to claim him. His identity remained a mystery, and his death became one of the most haunting cold cases in America. The boy's hair appeared freshly cut, and his body had been carefully cleaned, as if someone had tried to erase all traces of who he was before abandoning him. A massive investigation ensued, including the distribution of 400,000 flyers and nationwide media coverage, but no leads came forward. Despite efforts to reconstruct his face and investigate potential matches through hospital records, the boy's identity remained unknown. In 2016, advancements in forensic technology briefly reignited hope, but the case remains unsolved. The boy, known as America's unknown child, became a symbol of the mystery surrounding his death. His tragic fate still haunts the nation, much like the mysterious disappearances of D.B. Cooper in 1971, or the unexplained events at Dyatlov Pass in 1959. The case continues to stand as a painful reminder of how some mysteries simply refuse to be solved. Dorothy Arnold. On December 12, 1910, Dorothy Arnold, a 25-year-old socialite from New York, vanished without a trace. The daughter of a wealthy perfume mogul, Dorothy had everything: wealth, social status, and a promising future. She was last seen walking down Fifth Avenue, making a few purchases and greeting a friend before she disappeared. At first, her family kept the disappearance quiet, hiring private investigators instead of going to police. But as days turned into weeks with no leads, the case exploded into a media frenzy. Theories ran wild. Was she abducted? Did she run away? Was there foul play involved? Despite extensive searches, no trace of Dorothy was ever found. Her disappearance became one of New York's most baffling mysteries, akin to the unexplained vanishings of Amelia Earhart in 1937, or the eerie Dyatlov Pass incident in 1959. Dorothy Arnold's fate remains a haunting question, her disappearance forever a part of the city's dark history, with no answers ever surfacing. Walter Collins. On March 10, 1928, Walter Collins, a 9-year-old boy, left his home in Los Angeles to see a movie and never returned. His mother, Christine Collins, reported him missing after 5 days of searching. What followed was not just a disappearance, but a case filled with deception, corruption, and heartbreak. Months later, a boy in Illinois claimed to be Walter Collins. The LAPD, desperate to close the case, reunited the boy with Christine, but something was off. 3 weeks later, Christine insisted that the boy was not her son. It turned out that the boy, Arthur Hutchins, had run away from home and pretended to be Walter to get a free trip to Hollywood. Christine sued the LAPD for their mishandling of the case, but the real Walter Collins was never found. The story later inspired the movie The Changeling, but in reality, Walter's fate remains one of Los Angeles' most disturbing unsolved cases, much like the eerie disappearances of D.B. Cooper in 1971 and the haunting mystery of the Dyatlov Pass in 1959. His story remains a chilling reminder of how sometimes the truth is buried in layers of lies and corruption. Sodder children. On Christmas Eve 1945, a tragedy struck the Sodder family in Fayetteville, West Virginia. A fire destroyed their home, and while 5 of their 10 children managed to escape, the other 5 were presumed dead. However, what followed was an incredibly strange mystery. No bodies or remains were ever found in the ashes of the fire. Experts insisted that the fire should have left some trace of human bones, yet nothing was recovered. The Sodder parents, George and Jenny, refused to believe that their children had perished in flames. Suspicious clues fueled their doubts. Their ladder, usually propped against the house, was found tossed down an embankment, and her phone line had been cut before the fire started. Over the years, eerie reports surfaced of children who resembled the missing Sodder children, but every lead ended in frustration. The Sodder parents never stopped searching for answers, even erecting a billboard offering a reward for information. To this day, the fate of the Sodder children remains one of the scariest disappearances in U.S. history. Much like the mysterious cases of D.B. Cooper in 1971 and the chilling Dyatlov Pass incident in 1959, the disappearance of the Sodder children continues to haunt the public's imagination, a reminder of how some mysteries remain unsolved, no matter how much time passes. Di Maria's rise. Angel Di Maria was born into poverty in Rosario, Argentina. Growing up, he never imagined that his future would involve becoming one of football's most iconic players. From a young age, Di Maria had a special gift, a deadly left foot that would shape his destiny. His talent on the pitch was undeniable, but he faced numerous challenges off it. At the age of 17, Di Maria was playing for Rosario Central, a club that wasn't particularly wealthy, but it provided him with a platform to showcase his potential. However, even as his talent shone through, many questioned whether he could make it to the top. His journey wasn't easy, and he faced numerous setbacks, including financial struggles and doubts about his future. But Di Maria persisted. In 2007, after a series of impressive performances in the Argentine League, he moved to Benfica in Portugal, where his career truly began to take off. It was here that he honed his skills and caught the attention of Europe's biggest clubs. Despite his rough start, the player with only one foot was becoming a global sensation. As his fame grew, Di Maria moved to Real Madrid in 2010 for a transfer fee of 25 million euros, a huge sum at the time. Many believed he would struggle to adapt to the intense pressure and competition of the La Liga, but instead, he flourished. His ability to create moments of brilliance with his left foot helped Real Madrid achieve success in La Liga and Champions League campaigns. Years later, after stints with Manchester United and Paris Saint-Germain, Di Maria became a symbol of resilience, proving that even the most unexpected players can break barriers and achieve greatness. His rise, from a poor kid in Rosario to a footballing legend, remains one of the most inspiring stories in sport. D.B. Cooper. On November 24, 1971, a man, later known as D.B. Cooper, boarded a Northwest Orient Airlines flight from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. It was supposed to be just another routine flight, but it became one of the most infamous mysteries in aviation history. During the flight, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant, stating that he had a bomb. After showing the device, he demanded $200,000 in ransom money and 4 parachutes. The authorities complied, and once the ransom was delivered, Cooper ordered the plane to take off again. Somewhere over Forest, Washington, he opened a rear stairway and parachuted into the night, vanishing without a trace. Despite an extensive FBI investigation, Cooper was never found. The case became one of the greatest mysteries in criminal history, as no one could figure out who he was or where he went after parachuting into the darkness. Only a few stacks of the ransom money were ever found, fueling theories that Cooper either died in the wilderness or successfully escaped with the money. The legend of D.B. Cooper continues to captivate people to this day. His daring heist has become the stuff of folklore, often compared to other unsolved disappearances like the Dyatlov Pass incident in 1959 or the mysterious disappearance of Amelia Earhart in 1937. To this day, Cooper remains the only hijacker in U.S. history to commit a successful hijacking and disappear without a trace. Di Maria's rise. Football has seen legends rise and fall, but few stories are as perplexing as the disappearances that marked Angel Di Maria's ascent, a player of extraordinary skill, agility, and vision. Yet, time and again, he would vanish from critical moments in his career. Was it fate? Was it politics? Or was it something darker, lurking in the shadows of football's elite? From his humble beginnings in Argentina to the glitzy stadiums of Europe, Di Maria's journey is one of brilliance, betrayal, and unexplained absences that left fans and analysts scratching their heads. Let's dive deep into the enigma that surrounds his career. The disappearances that shaped his destiny. Born in 1988 in Rosario, Argentina, Di Maria was not just another football-loving kid. He was a phenomenon waiting to explode. Raised in a working-class neighborhood, football was his escape from poverty. He joined the local club Rosario Central, where his speed and flair quickly caught attention. By 2007, the young winger was already a sensation, earning a move to Europe. But even in these early years, whispers started to emerge. He would sometimes disappear from crucial matches, battling injuries, tactical benchings, and unseen forces that seemed to hold him back. When Di Maria moved to Benfica in 2007, expectations were sky high. He was a rising star, tipped to follow in the footsteps of Argentine greats like Maradona and Messi. Under Jorge Jesus, his game evolved, and he became one of Portugal's brightest talents. Yet, strangely, there were moments when he seemed to disappear. Key matches where he was either benched, underperforming, or missing in action due to mysterious injuries. Fans speculated about fitness issues, but some insiders whispered about deeper concerns, political interference, secret transfer dealings, and agents playing games behind the scenes. In 2010, Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world, signed Di Maria for 25 million euros. It was a dream move every player longed for. Under Mourinho, he thrived, playing a crucial role in La Liga and Champions League matches. His dribbling, passing, and relentless work ethic made him a key asset. Then came 2014. Despite being arguably Madrid's best player in their Champions League winning campaign, he was suddenly cast aside. The final against Atletico Madrid, he was phenomenal. But mere months later, Madrid unceremoniously pushed him out. Why? Officially, it was about money. Unofficially, power struggles behind the scenes between club president Florentino Perez and the player's agent Jorge Mendes led to his ousting. Was Di Maria sacrificed for political reasons? His disappearance from Madrid's plans remains one of the most baffling exits in football history. Di Maria's next stop was England. Manchester United, desperate to rebuild under Louis van Gaal, broke the British transfer record to sign him for £59.7 million. It should have been a match made in heaven. It wasn't. Despite a stellar start, something changed. By mid-season, Di Maria had vanished from the starting 11. His form plummeted, and he looked lost. There were break-ins at his house, unsettling his family. He felt unwanted, out of sync, and eventually United cut their losses, selling him to PSG after just one season. But why did he fade so fast? Was it the tactics, the lack of support, or something more sinister? Like an orchestrated attempt to remove him from the Premier League spotlight? Paris offered Di Maria a fresh start, and he embraced it. He became an integral part of PSG's dominance, linking up with Neymar, Mbappe, and Cavani. He was no longer disappearing, at least not as frequently. Yet, even in his prime at PSG, something odd persisted. In crucial Champions League games, he was either benched or underused. The infamous 2020 Champions League final against Bayern Munich, he played, but wasn't at his usual level. Some claimed tactical reasons. Others pointed at PSG's internal politics. Was Di Maria too much of a free spirit for modern football's control narratives? Did he challenge the wrong people in power? Internationally, Di Maria's relationship with Argentina was complex. Despite being one of the country's best talents, he often found himself sidelined during major tournaments. He missed crucial matches due to injuries, and his importance to the team was constantly questioned. But then came redemption. In 2021, he scored the winning goal in the Copa America final against Brazil, silencing critics and proving his worth. And in 2022, on the grandest stage of all, the World Cup final, Di Maria was at his magical best, scoring again to help Argentina lift the trophy. After years of disappearing acts, was this his final reemergence? Di Maria's career is a paradox, a player with unmatched skill, yet one who seemed to vanish at key moments, sometimes by fate, sometimes by design. Was it all politics? Bad luck? Or did football's hidden forces conspire to limit his legacy? One thing is certain. Angel Di Maria will be remembered not just for his talent, but for the mystery that shrouded his journey. What do you think? Was Di Maria a victim of unseen forces? Or was it simply the unpredictability of football? Let's discuss in the comments. D.B. Cooper. On the evening of November 24th, 1971, a man known as Dan Cooper, later misreported as D.B. Cooper, walked into Portland International Airport. Dressed in a dark suit, black tie, and sunglasses, he looked like an ordinary businessman. But what he did next would turn him into a legend, leaving behind one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. Cooper purchased a one-way ticket for $20 on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, bound for Seattle. The flight was a short 30-minute trip with 36 passengers and a crew of 6 aboard the Boeing 727. After takeoff, He handed a note to Flight Attendant Florence Schaffner, assuming it was just another businessman flirting. She slipped the note into her pocket without reading it. Cooper leaned in and whispered, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." Her hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. It was a simple, chilling demand. $200,000 in cash, about $1.4 million today, for parachutes